shouldn't have been a messin'. And now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. And one of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Sweep. I'm your host, Anthony Longhair Leclair, and I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, the marvelous Marla the Mouse McHardy.
What's up, everybody?
We have a question for you. Did you know that on this day, in 1966, Nancy Sinatra was at number 1 on the UK singles chart with These Boots Are Made for Walking?
I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
Now I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, because before this episode, I always wondered, and I always meant to look it up, but I never did. I was like, okay, is Nancy Sinatra related to Frank Sinatra? I'm like, I'm pretty sure she is, but I wasn't 100% sure. And so I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she's his daughter. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so.
So now I know.
Now you know. Yeah, so hence the bookends for this Daily Sweep. These boots are made for walking. It's crazy. Wow.
Crazy. If Christopher Walken has never gotten, like, a custom pair of boots made for him and said that, I'm going to be so disappointed. I'll never know if that's actually a thing, because I don't think I'll ever be able to ask him, but, like, I'd like to be able to think that that's a thing that he said.
Yeah, me too.
It would be amazing.
Yes, it would. But yeah, so These Boots Are Made for Walking, recorded by Nancy Sinatra and hit number 1 on the UK charts in 1966 on this day. It was written by Lee Hazelwood, and it was also recorded with the help of LA's session musician group known as The Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew. I'll have to look those guys up.
I'm sure they've done a million things.
Oh, I'm sure they have. If they got mentioned in there, they must be quite famous. And I apologize if anyone who's listening is like, oh my god, you don't know who that is? I'm sorry.
It's all your fault.
I'm supposed to be the Rain Man of music, and I don't know who the Wrecking Crew is.
Yeah, definitely Wrecking Crew. So that was on this day in 1966. On this day in 2020, it's Family Day, everybody.
And also, it's your birthday! Woo!
Yay. Yeah, more importantly, it's Family Day, which is more pertinent to the question I was going to ask you today than the fact that it's my birthday.
Sorry, I just have to highlight the birthday of the man I love. Just have to throw that in there somewhere.
You're a sweetheart. Thanks. But, whiskey. So, anyway, so my question to you, and to you, audience, is how, I realize you're going to have a very long, I'm going to have to mute the ending track
I'm sure
there.
you are.
But how important is music in your family?
So important. Like, it's kind of unreal, actually. Like, I grew up in a very musical household, and it's really kind of shaped my taste in music, actually, because I listen to so much of the same music that my parents do. And, like, not a lot of... I mean, I shouldn't say not a lot of people are like that. There are quite a few people out there who listen to a lot of the same music. But I was so happy that, like, as a child, my household was so filled with different kinds of music. Because between my mom and my dad, my parents listened to everything. Like...
Rap and techno?
Okay, maybe not as much. But, like...
Heavy metal!
Maybe not as much, but, like, my parents listened to a lot of different kinds of music, so I listened, like, I remember, I have this interesting memory of being in kindergarten, and them, like, going around and asking, oh, what's your favorite music artist? And people are like, oh, I like Britney Spears, I like the Backstreet Boys, and I'm like, I like the Beatles. Because my parents had the Beatles 1 CD, and whenever we went on car trips, I would always be like, put on the Beatles, Mom! Put on the Beatles! So, yeah, I grew up listening to, like, you know, like the Beatles and the Stones, and James Taylor, and Bonnie Raitt, and John Prine, and so much Neil Young. So, my mom is, like, the biggest Neil Young fan I know. But yeah, just a lot of folk and a lot of rock, and of course that led me to discovering other bands that I liked that my parents didn't always necessarily listen to, but like it was interesting, like even newer stuff too. Like my parents got me starting to listen to Feist, which introduced me to the whole cool world of like indie music, which was awesome because that was like really the first like I guess alternative album that I listened to was Feist's The Reminder, which I love that album, and my parents had that on CD and we listened to that a bunch. But yeah, like and my mom, she plays guitar. Well, she played guitar as well, and so my mom used to like play guitar for my brother and I when I was a kid. My mom's a teacher, so she knows all kinds of kids songs and stuff, so she used to like play us that, and like also like folk songs and whatnot. So like yeah, music is really important in my family. Like it was like almost daily that we would listen to music. I remember Sunday mornings we'd wake up and I maybe it wasn't even specifically Sunday, it was just like weekends. I remember associating weekends because my dad would wake up, put on like Miles Davis and cook breakfast. So I was associated jazz with like weekend mornings because my dad would listen to jazz on the weekend. But yeah, it's great. So that's my big long-winded answer. Yes, very important.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you?
I was waiting. So it was interesting when you brought. So yes, quite important is my answer, I guess. So if people just want to like stop there, yes. But it was interesting when you brought up car rides because I still remember like a good selection of the cassette tapes that we would listen to in the old Chevy Astro that we had, and on road trips to anywhere, to like Bon Echo or to go see my grandparents or go visit aunts and uncles in Ottawa or wherever the fuck we were going camping and all that kind of stuff. So we would have the Forrest Gump soundtrack. So every time I hear that, bow, 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 no, 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 bow, no, 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 bow, no, you know that whole part where it's like, run, Forrest, run,
yeah.
right? That whole bit.
Oh, yeah.
That always makes me think of, one, how many times my dad and I have watched the movie together, and two, driving to and from Pembroke to visit my grandparents. Mm-hmm. Then there was a Beach Boys album that we had as well. There was Italian love songs that we all sang to and knew all of the fucking words to somehow. There was an ABBA collection and a Beatles collection, and then Kids Praise, because wasn't that the best music to listen to as a kid, teaching you good, healthy morals and all that stuff?
Teaching you about Jesus.
Actually, thankfully, it wasn't so much about, I mean, yeah, there was the Jesus-y bits in there, but it wasn't all just Jesus, right? It was all about, like, family, and, like, my favorite song is called Welcome to the Family, and it's all about how, like, family works together. See, and it works for today, because it's Family Day.
Well, there you go.
I didn't even mean for that to connect, but it does. So, anyway, so that was all fun, and then when you brought up weekend mornings, that also, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but on Sunday mornings, I would always listen to some sort of Hawaiian music, like Don Ho, or just like, you know, whatever Hawaiian records my parents had of different like hulas and all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm not Hawaiian, by the way, by any stretch of the imagination, in case anyone's wondering. So my parents they very much love Hawaii. And it would be that or Elvis. And so when I hear certain Elvis songs or like Hawaiian music, I'm just like, I need bacon and eggs, because every Sunday morning we would have brunch after church, and it'd be bacon and eggs, toast and home fries and all that good stuff, and Elvis would be playing or some sort of Hawaiian music would be playing. Every other morning of the fucking week would be country music, which I have to say did instill in me a deep loathing for country music for a long time. I'm still not a big fan of country music, but I've broadened my horizons a bit. There are some songs I don't mind, and some songs I do quite enjoy. So, yeah. But even just in my family, I grew up listening to, obviously, what everyone in my family listened to. So we would listen to the Beatles and Elvis, and then, like, the Hawaiian music was fun, I guess. But it wasn't something I went out of my way to listen to all the time, nor was country music. Well, my sister was listening to stuff like Poison and Metallica and Megadeth, and my brother was listening to stuff like Jewel and Portishead and Collective Soul and Nirvana, and Gia was in Nirvana as well. So there was some cross-pollination there already as well. Mm-hmm. Actually, I still remember Gia recalling to me her memory of the first dance at high school, like when she was in high school after Kurt Cobain had killed himself. And I think it was Smells Like Teen Spirit came on. It must have been that or Lithium or something. Anyway, whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was something from Nevermind. But either way, whatever song came on, and she and her friend, it might have been Natasha maybe, or Larissa, I can't remember. Anyway, one of her friends, probably one of the ones I had a crush on when I was a kid, were just like bawling because of, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because grunge had come to an end, quote unquote. But anyway, so I remember that. My first memory is of The Offspring come out and play, which I've also said on the podcast before. My cousin and my brother listening to that on the back steps, at my parents' place. So even extended family reach into that. And both sides of my family all play music. Jerry's just learning the Merlin now. Mm-hmm. But he sings. And all of my uncles on that side sing and or play guitar or woodwinds or violin or whatever. Because Tony plays fucking everything. And then on my dad's side, Louis doesn't play guitar much anymore, but he can, and he's very good at it. And then my cousins on that side all play guitar and sing as well, as you've experienced. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with my extended family too, because definitely my mom's side of the definitely my mom's side of the family is quite musical. Like my grandparents have always been in a choir for the longest time. My granddad's always walking around the house whistling a tune pretty consistently. And I think he's because he's picked up some instruments. I think my granddad can play the ukulele, I think. And I know he can play the bongos. But my grandma plays piano, and my mom, she took lessons, and my mom took piano lessons. Most people in my mom's side of the family took piano lessons, and then my Uncle Brian, he plays the bass. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty musical on that side. I mean, not as much on my dad's side, although my cousin Ian is quite musical. He's a really good guitarist, and he also plays. There's a really cool instrument that he had. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a traditional Greek instrument that he got. And he brought it over and was playing it. It was really cool, but I can't remember what the heck it's called. So I'll have to look that up.
Cool.
And try and remember, but yeah. So it's not as much on my dad's side of the family, but definitely it's there for sure.
It's heavy on both sides of my family, but very different ways. On my mom's side, it's used a lot more for church and worship and that kind of stuff, and they all are into folk music, and my uncle Tony and Jerry are also very much into Celtic music, right? Which works perfect because when we hang out, there's always that kind of vibe going on. But Armando and John are both more. Well, Armando's amazing with jazz stuff and bluesy things like that, and all that kind of stuff. But also worship music, he does a lot of. My Aunt Jane does all that choir stuff with him as well, and John is huge into folk and old country and that kind of stuff. So it's very geared that sort of way, I guess, on that side. And then on my dad's side, it's all classic rock and Beatles and Stones, and then with my cousin Ryan, alt 90s stuff and all over the place, heavy metal. But what I was gonna say earlier when I was mentioning all the influences that I got from all my different family members, it's wonderful because we go on car rides, and so whenever something was new and exciting or whatever, when the Backstreet Boys came out, right? And so my sister was yeah, the Backstreet Boys. And then my brother was yeah, the Backstreet Boys. And I was actually, I don't even know if Gia was super into the Backstreet Boys as much as she was still just into Poison at that time. But because they came out with new stuff around the same time that Backstreet Boys were a thing. But I remember the three of us belting out I Want It That Way in the van driving wherever, and my parents just laughing at us because we would just all choose different harmony parts, and we still do that anytime we're all hanging out together. If a song comes on and we'll all start singing, Jonathan's typically on the melody, and then Gia and I will go up or down somewhere, and then sometimes we'll match and be oops, and then we'll try and go the other way, and then sometimes we'll match again and we'll be fuck, so we have to just find out which one's doing which part.
Yeah. We had a hilarious Backstreet Boys moment when we were in Whitby visiting your brother. We were, like, in the van. And, and Debbie was just laughing at us because we were all singing to the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, so that was essentially Jonathan and I reliving our childhood.
Oh, yeah.
And what's wonderful is all the stuff that we listen to, my parents also enjoyed listening to. Like, my mom sings to Metallica. Mm. Because she listened to so much Metallica from all three of us kids at one point or another. So, like, Enter Sandman comes on, she's singing that shit.
That's awesome.
I realize like, people listening are like, oh, the Black Album, like, of course, whatever. But, you know, fuck yourself, first of all. And second of all, they have worse albums than the Black Album. It's called Saint Anger. Which is also, I still like Metallica anyway, I don't care. People are like, oh, they sold out, or oh, they changed their sound. It's like, yeah, they changed their sound. It's like your defense of Mumford & Sons, right? Like, I'm not a big fan of their new sound. And I know, like, you're not totally sold on all of it, but I know you do like a lot of their new stuff.
Yeah,
and that's
I do.
fine. And it is a very different sound than what people are used to. So I know a lot of people are like, well, fuck them. And in my mind, I just prefer the other shit. So I'll still give shit when I want. But it's not like I hate Mumford & Sons now because of that.
Yeah,
but some people are like, I fucking hate Metallica now because they don't, you know, they changed their sound. It's like, well...
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they could just be the same thrash band from Kill 'Em All back in, like, at the start of the 80s if you wanted. Or you could grow up too as a musician or music lover, and then just, like, follow their whole... Like, it's not just for you. They all started doing music for themselves, you know? And I guess I feel more strongly that way because I'm a musician. And you know that feeling too, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure, performing for other people's fun. But,
absolutely.
But, you know, and even so, just, like, the connection with family that I have, like, because every time we hang out, my uncles are way better than me at guitar. Maybe not at singing, but at guitar, for sure. All of them. And they're all just like, oh, well, you play us a song. I'm like, I don't no. Like, no. You're all better than me. Why would I play you a song, right? But it's their acceptance of, well, hey, but you do this. And you do it for a living, and it's, you know, and them just wanting to, like, play along and jam along and then they're practicing their own new things that they've learned, you know, and they just want to actually have that acceptance in that jam, and they don't care what kind of music it is, they'll play along with it.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
And then Louis is just like, play some of your fucking potato songs.
Yeah, that's different, because, like, I'm lucky if I can get Louis to play guitar once every year, and, but I love it when he does finally pick it up, because he's just like, no, I'm not playing the fucking thing. You go the fuck, you got a gig in fucking 5 hours, you little shit. You better be fucking back here, right? So, you know, and then I come back and play music, and then it just takes, like, a certain point of either me saying, like, no, I don't know that song, or, like, well, why don't you play the song? Well, why don't you play the song? Well, why don't you play the song for, like, a few days into, like, that trip in May. And then finally, he just, like, picks it up one day and starts quietly fucking around. But you have to be careful, because if you go too hard on it, be like, okay, now do this. And be like, fuck you, I'm not playing this fucking thing anymore. You know? So yeah, anyway, but yeah, when he plays stuff too, you know, Jacques will sing on it over anything, right?
Oh, yeah.
And my dad will sing as well, and yeah, everyone has a good time. So it's just, since it's family day, I thought it'd be important to ask how music affects your family, or is it important to your family? I know some people it's not even a thing, which is really weird to me, and I'm sure weird to you.
It's a very strange concept in my mind.
Yeah, but I know on both sides of my family, music is super important, and everywhere I go with my family, there's always music playing, or someone's asking me to play music, or someone's showing me a new instrument of theirs and they're playing music, or they're talking about the new music project they're working on, or asking about any new music that I've got going on, and, like, everything is so heavily revolved around music.
Oh, yeah.
With all of my family. And I realize some of it is because I play music, so they ask about it. But, like, on top of that, you know, my Uncle Tony does the sound setup and all the tech work and plays and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And same with Armando, and obviously he has the studio. And, you know, everyone has their own thing with music. And, yeah, so it's super important with my family and myself. And I'm so glad that it's super important with your family as well. Because then that makes an extra easy connection and makes it not so, like, so awkward.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
And, anyway, we're well over time for the Daily Sweep. So,
We turn the question to you. How important is music in your family? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. And feel free to send your music questions for us to ask on the podcast.
Yeah, please do. If anybody has any good questions that you'd like us to answer, send them out on YouTube, send them out on Facebook, send them out on the podcast comment section, wherever.
But make sure they're music questions.
Yeah.
Like, you might have some really good questions about, the state of the world, or... That was my hair.
Oh, sorry. It was, like, tickling my arm.
But yeah, so anyway, you might have some really good philosophical questions about, how to fix life, or, in what ways does the coronavirus affect our lives specifically, but we're not going to answer those on the podcast.
Nah.
Anyway, that's your daily sweep for the day. So we will be back tomorrow to sweep something else out from underneath the proverbial rug, and have a great family day, everyone.
See you guys later. You keep lying when you ought to be truthing. You keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saying when you ought to be a-changing. Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. Well, these boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
How important is music in your family?
So important. Oh my god, like, it's...
Turn your fucking phone off.
Oh, shit.
It's you this time. Like and subscribe. Your whole family. All of your family should like and subscribe.
Every single one of them.
We want to be part of your family. But, like, not in a creepy way.